How are the fans dealing with it?
Yeah, no, I think I'm so used to in the Twitter social media age, and I get like 95% positive responses to everything that I
Right.
tweet
Sure.
and write in all my columns. But I think we're all used to just absolutely irrational, crazy fan behavior, and if you go against the team, you're fighting the United States flag or whatever. It hasn't been that way, and I think that it's been so telling. Astros fans, for the most part, have been incredibly rational and reasonable and normal, and they sound in a lot of ways like the rest of the baseball world, to where it's mainly just been confusion, it's been frustration, it's been painful.
Do they feel like I would it really would hurt?
It is, and that's the thing. I was in D.C. for all three games, right? I watched the Astros go up 3-2, and you could tell how much that city was, in that region, was living through the Nationals, and how incredible that was, right? And then just fast forward, to DVD, and you have the hat, and you've been celebrating for 2 years. I mean, these cities live through these teams like nothing else. I don't think you compare it at all to the NFL or the NHL or the NBA. There's just something about baseball, and it's every day, and you see the players' faces. So you put all that together, and there's a lot of confusion right now. It's painful. It's hard. And the biggest thing is it's still falling out, right? You have Alex Cora getting fired yesterday by Boston. And so this is something that's going to play out, and spring training starts in a month. So it's a very, very odd, troubling time right now for the Astros, and most importantly, for longtime devoted Astros fans.
But, Brian, what's weird to me is that, like, in a year when Hinch's suspension is done or however long Cora gets suspended, other teams will just rush right out and hire these guys like nothing's happened. That's the weird part to me.
Yeah, Jeff Luhnow, I think, is going to be the huge test case, because Jeff Luhnow is one of the brightest minds in Major League Baseball for the last 10 years. Jeff Luhnow has also, put together a pretty strong track record of frustrating and alienating and pushing away and dividing. So you're either pro Jeff Luhnow if you've worked with him, or you think, he's the worst guy you've ever worked with. I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he isn't. But that is Jeff Luhnow's track record, and that did play a part in all of this. A.J. Hinch is universally liked and respected, and it's very hard to find anybody who's going to say anything bad about A.J. Hinch. And, you would think at some point, unless something else spills out with Hinch, he will be back in the game again. Cora, I don't know. I mean, Cora's name was all over this. He might end up with a multi-year suspension. For him to be fired before he's even suspended is very telling. And he's now been involved with the scheme with two franchises, not just the Astros, with Boston in 2018. So, Alex Cora might have two invalidated World Series titles attached to his name. But I do believe at some point A.J. Hinch will be back in Major League Baseball, if he wants to be.
Did those of you there covering the team, I understand you're a columnist, so you're obviously not the beat guy or whatever, but was there any whispering of this at the time? Yeah. Was anybody catching on to this?
Yes, I will be completely honest with you, and you guys can turn this into a soundbite if you want. I don't care, because I've said this before. No, I never heard, and I was around the 2017 Astros, not as much as a beat writer, but I was around those constantly, the entire season, throughout the entire playoff run, ALDS at Fenway Park, ALCS at Yankee Stadium, and then the entire World Series at Dodger Stadium, and all the home games, obviously. I never heard it at all in 2017. But that being said, here's where it gets really interesting. We started to hear whispers in the 2018 playoffs against the Boston Red Sox, which is kind of interesting, because by that time, who was managing the Boston Red Sox? Alex Cora, and Alex Cora's team from 18 is now investigated in all this. So I was hearing for the first time whispers of that. That being said, it sounded so, I'm going to be honest, it sounded so stupid, like trash cans and banging and whatever was going on. It sounded so stupid. You're like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You would hear it at some point. So with, cameras and replay and, microphones everywhere, there would have been some inkling of it. I mean, Major League Baseball has cameras and microphones and people everywhere, but we were hearing it in 18, and then obviously last year there was everything with the Rays and the Yankees and the Nationals. So this has shadowed the Astros for 2 seasons, but during their 17 World Series season, we weren't hearing it. So it almost took a year for it to come out. The problem is, like steroids, whatever, just because you hear it, you can't write it. I mean, if you're going to put your name on it, you have to be able to prove it. And credit to Ken Rosenthal and Evan Drellick from The Athletic for breaking this. They honestly deserve they need to create a sports Pulitzer for them, because the fact that Rob Manfred has done this, Luno, Hinch, Cora have lost their jobs, franchises have been forever changed. None of that happens without The Athletic and Rosenthal and Evan publishing that story. And it took them a year plus to put all that together, a year after I was first hearing it, and others were first hearing it.
And that was based on what? The former Astro owning up to it? Is that sort of the heart of it?
That's what they were getting, and that's what we were actually saying in 18. Mm-hmm. And then even and then at the start of 19, because then you started hearing the whispers, and it would go away, and the Astros were playing baseball games, but you would start to hear it. But I always thought, and anyone else did, well, you would have to get, and not just one player, you'd have to get multiple players on the record, putting their names on it to get into it. And even then, there's a whole other component to breaking it down. They were able to do it, and credit to them. But I think the fact that it was a year, a full season and a postseason after we were first hearing the whispers tells you how hard and difficult and sport altering it was to really put this together. And now we're just watching the fallout spill out.